On the stage this afternoon, we have Sean Kruger from the University of Pretoria. He's going to talk to us about Windows 10 hardening and customization for students and the factors that affect e-learning.
I know we're all very, very tired and it's almost tea time, so I'll try my best not to sure there's one or two things that make you feel better today. So, where to start? It's currently a world where, well, I sometimes feel like that. To a very student is coming to a world where skills vary from those who've never seen a computer before in their lives to the technical prodigy that can probably hack my computer. But unfortunately, most of the students that enter start in a world where they don't know what they need to do. They don't know what's expected of them, but there's so many packages available that they are inundated with the amount of information options that just the basic skill. There's actual fear and anxiety that's associated with technology and how you enter, well, in our field, the academics. When you leave your academic field, you go to the job market, and as specified earlier, there's an expectation of you to be able to manage electronics and electronic media. So what I'm going to cover today is just the landscape that students actually have to engage in, the education environment, and of course how e-learning benefits and, if not managed correctly, can have a negative impact on the students themselves. Alright, what is electronic learning? If anyone can tell, oh yes, and if I have my phone on, it's not because I'm on WhatsApp, I promise. I'm hopeless at multitasking. Right, what is e-learning? Anyone tell me? I know it will obviously come on people some reaction.
The use of technology in teaching learning?
Yes. But as an extension of that, it's exactly what I'm doing here with you today. Some of our conference delegates didn't use PowerPoint because of certain reasons. Others used videos, others used sound. There are so many options available to you. You can stream videos as we are actually now being streamed live that you can go view later. There are images that I will show and use in the next slides. There are audio visuals for a disability student. There's multivariate options available to students to engage them. And I know today we are a bit lazy in that. But what's nice about electronic medium is you can always go back to something. In the older days, you would sit in the classroom, I would speak, you would take in the information or not, and send your messages to your mic, and that would be it. So there are multivariate mediums which you can engage on, and lecturers can engage on. However, how do you communicate this across platforms? In our education environment, you have a synchronous environment, where it's me as your lecturer or trainer speaking to our delegates. Now you also have something called asynchronous learning, which is where I will upload a video, you can go back and view it later. This is now done according to communication platform. Now I communicate to you today, here I am, this is me, hello, welcome. However, I can also have emailed you, someone who's live chatting in the help desk environment since phone calls. There's IM and video calling, FaceTime, Skype. There are so many options available for things that are out there. How do you teach someone to use it? How do they know what to use when? It becomes very complex and very complicated. That's where I specify varying offerings and services on platforms. Now, what is a platform? Yeah, obviously, it elevates you, but it's something that you can work on, something you use to have something with it. Case in point, your laptops that you're working on. I'm sure that Instagram is very interesting, or you're catching up on some emails. The platform you use is what allows you to fulfill certain tasks. But while using these things, there is a certain safety component involved. Now, with the safety component that was also specified in our first keynote speech was malware. Ransomware. I know there was a situation at UP where a lecturer's laptop was taken control of, ransom of $20,000 gone. Now, how does any IT environment try to prevent that? Security policies, credentials, and it all falls down usually to your end user. Now, what we need to do is produce an end user that at least has a certain competency or skill set that can be able to preempt or at least stop the attack and reduce that vulnerability. However, within that vulnerability, there's always that real-time aspect of internet. Currently, we all mostly, who's out of just a raise of hands, who's not connected to the Wi-Fi currently? Like not. Okay, 1, 2, 2. Well done, you've got you must have a great data package. But now here's the thing. Who's to say that UJ's not snooping on my devices? Who's to say all the passwords and that the keystrokes I've entered aren't being used? I'm not saying UJ is at all. But my point is, as a user, you be able to realize that this is happening now. When you access these things, it's available and it's happening right now. But now also with all these things now you also have updates. As you're using your mobile phone, oh look, I have an update for Facebook, update for this. And there's new options, there's new availability. Why are you doing these updates? For bug fixes, for new features. And now we go more into the environment of education. It's a user's responsibility to know how to use their device. There are instruction manuals and such. That's their responsibility. It's your responsibility to be able to know how to do something. But it's an institution's role to be able to give students skills to be able to tackle their academics. Now, with the academic field, there are several fields of study. So you have your psychologists, which specialize in visual arts, and their main function is discerning between pornography and art. To an engineering student, you can write programs to do that for you. So it's a very difficult world to cater for. So our paradigm shift is to an electronic medium in a modern day curriculum which allows us to engage in different manners and then for us to enable better attention and more options. Now, skills of students. I did mention this earlier. Who of you have children just out of the show of hands? Just out of intersect? Out of intersect, are they able to use a tablet at an age? Pretty much. It's really scary. My cousins, this setting, no, it's done. But now we've also seen an experience where users move from a tablet interface, very easy, click, interface, very easy, to Windows 10 platform, or Linux, or Macintosh, produce a Word document. No, I can't. But it's right there. No, but it's not an app. But there's an application that can facilitate by that. So we have had that differentiation of platforms, that you do have competent learners in one field, but give them a different device or different platform, and you have this blank. I don't want to, sorry. And it's a very difficult thing to engage. This is where our field came together to collaborate on what service offerings need to be made available in terms to offer core skills. Now, core skills being, this is an electronic device. This device is used to achieve a certain goal. You can do this to access information. Now, I've made a very pretty picture. Pictures make me happy. It's much easier to explain to someone how something works. Sorry for the camera. But if you start here, IT support, irrespective of it's an academic institution or a business, there are multivariate things to be able to support. I know on help desks and on IT support, you have mobile devices, tablets that are specified applications. Now, of your applications, it depends on your operating system. I like Apple. Someone likes Android. Some people like Windows phones. That's up to you. That's personal usage. But this is where IT support gets complicated because which ones do we support? Where do we give offerings on such things? Then, of course, you would have PCs and laptops, bring your own device, or those that we provide to them. Then which operating system to choose? Windows, Linux, OS X. There are so many options available. And then on those operating systems, of course, is software. Which software do we provide? What do we choose? We choose Office 365, Office 2016, which is an integration platform. What do we choose? And then, of course, there's other service offerings. Printing, wireless access, help desks, to be able to access and get that information or products to you. And then, of course, these things give you access to services online. But if you don't know what the internet is, obviously, how would you explain it to a student? If you had to go to someone today who's never seen a computer, how would you explain the internet? So while I was building this presentation, I asked my assistant, so, how would you explain it? And then he inquired, Googled, and she gave me this picture. Welcome to the internet, ladies and gentlemen. Cats and unicorns, fire-breathing unicorns on rainbows. And there was another one which was not politically correct, therefore I could not use it. But the point is, how do you explain what the internet is to someone? It's such a vast and immense digital world that has endless capabilities. But of course, there's also a very dark side to it, because where do you start and what's reliable and safe to use? Okay, now this is where one of the facts of flexi learning. You have an inundated amount of options, variations to be able to engage learners. But each learner has a different background. Each learner has a different way of doing something. Each one has a different culture. Now, when I say culture, I'm not meaning Asian, all of those kind of things. It's a style of how you are used to and how your family's been taught. You will go to school, you will go to bed this time. Other people don't. Their culture is, listen, even until 1999, cram and going to go for there. That filters to their technological application and methodologies and how they use technology. Some people say, no, their mommy and daddy wrote down everything, I'll write down everything. Others, I'm sure you've seen it, they're taking notes, got a photo. So that influences how electronic mediums need to be engaged. Then, of course, we have our educator skills. Now, of course, I can stand here and that willingness, that lack of projection, interest, also influences how students take up their electronic learning. If I just read the slide to you, educator skills, critical material, technical, it's not a great medium to convey a message. However, if you have a good instructor who understands the usage of e-learning and how different media platforms can help engage, that of course affects how e-learning is conveyed. Finally, we get to what I'm actually here to talk about today, and that's infrastructure. Now, we have had a very I've been inundated with information today as well, especially with respect of the cloud. But the cloud, unfortunately for our students, starts with options hand in hand. How do we teach students who've never seen a computer in their life before? So what we have at University of Victoria is something called the AIM environment, the academic information management. I actually mentioned earlier, when varsity, he was taught basic skills. This year in 2015 was 11,000 registered students. 11,000 of 60. Basic skills. Now, there are quite a few classes such that us as lab admins need to go to our management course decides what's the best in terms of conformity and what needs to be conveyed to students. So we have the Windows 10 operating system, because that is, in South African context, a very meaningful and very familiar operating system available. Case in point, who of you did not like the fact that Windows 8 didn't have a start key in the sense of, look, there it is. I remember Facebook had, it's a case of familiarity. I know it's there. I know that is where I click. I can access these certain things. Now, based on management principles, we then go, all right, as admins, what needs to be customized and hardened? I know hardening sounds a little bit dodgy, but hardening in our sense means makes it so if you click on start, there's not a million applications running. There is my core tools, Notepad, my Office suite that's available, my options to print, nothing else. That it's a very clean infrastructure of users has all these information and all these options. Where do I go? Start, there's your options. It's a safe environment, you can say. That is what I mean by hardening and customization. We as lab admins create a safe environment that students can be taught. When I mentioned collaboration, this of course isn't decided, oh, I want this to look like this, they're all parties will go apply to all computers. This is collaborating with the academic department, which then teaches these skills. So by doing so, we can offer a coordinated modern curriculum which better suits the student, which enables them to learn better. However, there needs to be infrastructure in place. I myself am not involved in the selection of Office 365 and such, but those are the products often chosen by management. But those infrastructure services must be in place for us to be able to teach it and implement it. Now, infrastructure, I also speak about networking and such. Now, networks, of course, give you access to the internet, which I just showed you. Yes, there's cats driving uniforms, but there's also other information, such as access to library services, which gives you access to online journals, e-books, Google Scholar, and this, of course, requires credentials. I'm going to speed up a little bit. And, of course, we have our Google applications, Turnitin, Blackboard. But these are core focus skills that the students are taught, which allows them to then further go and develop their skills. When I speak about an IT laboratory, you would think, no, there's no chemicals involved, I promise. It's a setup where there's of course a projector, 30 to 90 computers and certain down to 120, where this pre-configured image will be deployed. Education will then teach students on the very platform that they're going to learn, which then enables them not a book interface where it's like, okay, left click here, right click here, what am I doing? It's use the computer yourself as a test. What are we doing? And by developing a standardized pattern in the environment, there's currently 1,150 computers in their environment across geographic locations, not restricted to only certain fields of study, but to a vast range. Right. Several other labs across campuses. Now I mentioned there's 1,150 computers available. That's their specific purpose of conveying and teaching those 11,000 registered AIM students on how to use a computer. What about others? Once you're now done, I've now gotten my skills. Where do I develop this? Where do I access these things? Student Computing Services currently has just over 5,500 computers. Previous 1,100. The 4,500 computers across six main campuses that students can go access. This includes residences, open lab facilities, engineering. There are also departmental labs, specific software that allows you to take these core skills and develop it to achieve their academic success. Now, how do you harden? One of the customization tools we use is PowerShell. PowerShell has, of course, it's a very strong administrative task tool because certain admin tasks are hidden from users. Obvious reason being they can break it. Now, the less they know, the better. But we as admins can have comments in certain areas to specify exactly what the command will do. And in this case, the command disables telemetry, which is the sending of information to Microsoft. The reason we disable this is because Microsoft, our users access it on their user accounts, whereas you need to sign into an account to send it to Microsoft. That is why we disable certain. So, to wrap up, why do we learn a different engagement method? And students need certain skills to achieve their academic success. We as IT need to support these things to enable the educators to teach them on the curriculum. And that statement is my fun story for T. Is there anything else? Questions for today? Nothing. Oh, sure. And I think we are done.